What is up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Overtime Chicks with Jess and Emma. We have a very special guest joining us today, one that I've wanted to get on this podcast for a very long time, Kasey Hudson. Welcome to Overtime Chicks.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to finally get a chance to talk with you guys and make my Overtime Chicks debut. This is sick.
Yeah,
Yay!
super exciting. But to kind of start off, for those who may not be Boston fans and haven't seen you on NESN or just don't know much about you, can you kind of give us a little rundown of what you do?
Absolutely. Well, right now I'm a reporter and host with NESN, New England Sports Network. Before that, I was actually in the Tampa Bay market where I grew up covering the Tampa Bay Lightning. I was their backup studio host to JP Peterson, and then through a couple different companies, because I was contracted out, I would create hockey content, but a lot of it was focused on the Tampa Bay Lightning and just kind of creating fun graphics of statistics. Because with the surge of new hockey fans, there was a lot of information that wasn't getting out there. So I was having some fun on social media with that. But I worked at Florida National News for 4 or 5 years where I did a lot of football coverage. I covered a couple Super Bowls. I covered the Lightning as well as the Orlando Magic and Daytona 500.
It's so cool.
Quite
And
the
then
ride. Look at you.
that's awesome. And I mean, you do what Boston has entered the chat. And then the hockey, you co-host the Hockey Hub on NESN as well. So that you honestly, like, you do it all. Like, you're into all the sports.
Yes, I mean, if there's anything I can warn anyone about, especially getting a foothold in this industry, it's the more you can do, the better. And it always depends on where the opportunities open up. You guys probably know this. Like hockey's very niche. So even though that's your passion, your love, and where a lot of people want to end up, just seeing the reps in any sport kind of helps you get there. So, I mean, on another side note, my parents ended up adopting a guy that I went to school with who ended up turning into this like football phenom. He was like the number 2 prospect in the country coming out of high school. So career-wise, I was so embedded in football because like he would force me to help him study his playbook and like him and his friends would take over the controller and I was forced to watch ESPN. So it started with football and then this small media outlet in Orlando, Florida, they were looking for a sports person that was comfortable on camera. I clearly like being on camera. So at that point, I was like, I'll figure out any sport as long as I get the reps on camera. And that's where the Orlando Magic, Daytona 500, and then lo and behold, the Tampa Bay Lightning came about. So yeah, being able to be open to anything really helps.
Did you play any sports growing up?
Did. So I was a military brat. My parents were in the Air Force actually, and we moved around a lot. So my parents' method to their madness was that as soon as we got to a new city, I got embedded in whatever sport was in season. So I actually played a lot of different sports. The ones that stuck with me up through college actually was cheerleading and soccer. I had a soccer scholarship to an NAIA school called Weber International University. And then I cheered at Santa Fe my freshman year of college. So those were the 2 sports that I did the most. But soccer actually helped me learn hockey because I grew up with a family in Tampa that were massive hockey heads. And my best friend played on the same soccer team as me, and she would actually explain the rules to me using like our soccer stuff.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Wow.
That's really cool.
Mm.
it's
So
wild.
obviously you got into hockey because of that. Did you know that you wanted to do this when you were younger, or it kind of just came about and you enjoyed it?
It kinda came about because funny enough, I mean, I'm a little bit up there in age, but when I was in school, I liked public relations a lot, and I wanted to do actually crisis control management for athletes because just the journeys that guys and girls go through, like, they talk about media training, but they don't really prepare you for, like, how to handle certain situations, and those scenarios are thrust upon you, especially when, like, overnight you become a figurehead for a sport or a top draft pick. So I liked public relations a lot. But then my brother that I mentioned earlier, when he ended up at FSU, is I got taken by my brother's friends to go to college game day. And that was the first time I had realized, like, wait, there's a woman talking football on a stage with a bunch of guys. This is a career that you get paid to do. So I was actually in my sophomore year of college when I noticed that. And I went back home that weekend. I'll never forget. It was after FSU played Oklahoma September 17th, 2011. And I went back to Orlando and changed my major to communics and then decided to pursue this. But funny enough, there's a page in my yearbook in high school where it says, like, if I could talk sports for a living. that's what I would do, but I still didn't know at that time that that was an avenue. So it came about while I was in school, actually, at college.
I
Wow.
love that. That's awesome. So you just actually covered the bean pot, which was so cool, especially it's such a huge thing in Boston. What was that like? Because you literally got to talk to like some of the top players, James Hagens, Cole Iserman. Like, so what was that like? Because the bean pot final for men's, I went to it and it was so fun. Like it had to be just such a fun experience for you.
It was an insane experience. Like, everyone kind of tried to tell me it's almost like NHL level considering, like, how what the fan base is like, what the rivalry is like the excitement behind all of it, and I still wasn't able to digest that until I was in it, and I think it's really cool too because growing up in the South where, Florida is a big deal, like, college hockey is like football down south, and, like, the school fan base being so involved made it that much cooler because you have the chants going on, and I was just like I'm sitting there down in the reporter cage, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, like, they're throwing some really insane chirps out there, like, the chants are brutal. I don't know which school I would wanna be a part of because everyone's got such great things, not so great things to say back and forth, but, like, atmosphere-wise, it was amazing, and what was kinda cool with the experience too is leading up to it, we, via NESN, did campus visits. So I actually got a chance to sit down and do one-on-one conversations with a lot of these players leading up to the Bean Pot, and that helped too because, like, they're in the midst of figuring out their media side of their journey and their hockey career. So, like, I got to sit down with James Hagens. I did a skate with James Hagens. I got to do a sit down with Dean Letourneau. So I think it really helped in terms of like how quick pace everything happens on game days because Jackie Redmond actually is posting great videos of her coverage in Milan. And she messaged me because I reposted one of her things where she's really showing the raw background of what goes in as a reporter. Like your mind has to be in 5 different phases at the same exact time. And tournament style things. While I was in the middle of game 1 for Beanpot, I had to start meeting with the coaches for game 2, and I have to start doing prep for game 2 while you're still tracking game 1. So it's a lot of moving pieces, but considering like what Beanpot means to Boston and as somebody who's just really trying to submerge himself into every experience up here, like it was a great honor for one. And for two, it's really good to get to know those players at this stage of their career and they gave me great interviews too, which I couldn't be more thankful for because that's just like another big thing. You don't want to walk away from such a massive experience and feel like you could have done more. I feel like they gave me so much. So it was amazing.
Wow.
Awesome.
And then I have a question. So when you started doing all the interviews and stuff, did you ever get nervous? And if you did, how did you kind of overcome that? Because I was doing some post-game interviews for this hockey school and I got so nervous and then my mind got scrambled and I started blanking. And obviously I've gotten better at it over the years, but how did you kind of get over that?
Emma, it still happens. It totally still happens. Because part of it is like you want to being a good reporter is making sure you can have a good conversation, right? But you're
Yeah.
trying to also have a good conversation with a complete stranger to a degree.
Mhm.
So you don't know how responsive they're going to be. You don't know what their style is. You don't know what their humor is. And you're trying to gauge all of these different things while, sometimes you have notes of certain things that you have to talk to with certain players and coaches and stuff. So like I definitely still get very nervous and considering like I said, like I'm 5, 10 years older than a lot of the people that I've been interviewing lately, but they're in such high regard in the hockey world. So you get nervous just making sure that like you're gonna get a good rapport with them. But for me, what's helped me over the years too, and it helped me with these campus visits and getting to know these 4 schools is like always just kind of having an icebreaker that shows your personality and that can also kind of extract their personality. So, my best friend flew up to Boston in October for us to go to the Tate McRae concert. Well, Tate McRae is a big conversation in hockey right now. So one of my icebreakers with the guys was like, all right, who in this locker room would Tate McRae write a song about? And immediately that just got them like laughing and then thinking and then talking. And then it helped me gauge their personality. So it helped me realize where can I take the conversation? And I always just try to make sure that I show how that you're paying attention because people don't want to just feel like another product of an interview that you're doing. So
Yeah.
always trying to find a way to personalize it and find something specific like again, everyone's gravitating towards James Hagens right now because he's the first round pick for the Bruins in quite some time. But like he's an elite skater. Well, what goes into that? Like, what made you a good skater? Because I'm taking skating sessions right now, and I know edge work is not an easy thing. And him and I were able to open up in a conversation about like how his dad stresses that and how he actually still practices that in his downtime or outside of practice and stuff. And that was personal to him because it connects him to his family. So the nerves are always going to be there, especially because like if you're doing your job right, then you're going to get to meet another cool person and another cool person and another cool person. But I feel like having an icebreaker that lets somebody get to know you while you can get to know them, it helps break down the barriers so that you can have just a good conversation.
Yeah.
I love that. What has been the most challenging thing so far that you've kind of run into? Because also, I feel like it must be a lot to kind of juggle so many different sports. Because I know for hockey, like doing this podcast, sometimes it's like a lot to memorize, like all the players, trades, everything that goes into it. So, how do you like juggle it all?
My gosh, I feel like I'm still trying to figure that out. 'Cause it is a lot. As you guys mentioned, I also do Boston is Under the Chat with NESN, and, you know, it's Red Sox, it's Celtics, it's Patriots, and in the midst of the Bruins wrapping up the first half of their season before going into the break, you've got all this Patriots excitement going into the Super Bowl, and if you've noticed, which credit to you guys because it is a lot to keep based on everything throughout the NHL, but a lot of hockey reporters and they stick to a team or they stick to a conference. Like there's only certain times of the year that they have to do everything as a whole, and the ones that do are buried in it. So for me, it's just it's making a lot of study time. I think it helps how much I really just love the game of hockey because like in my spare time, I'm still watching a game. And sometimes, you know, for the health side of this industry, you want to have a degree of separation outside of sports. And I make sure to have that too. But being able to kind of have that on as my background noise when I'm studying for other things, it just keeps me in the know so that I don't have to do as much extensive research. But it really is just like a lot of prep. Like when I have Boston has entered the chat, I'm up at 6 a.m. and I'm starting prep by 9 a.m. and I'm prepping from 9 to 2. And I just kind of block off time for each sport to make sure that I'm giving it time to brush up on the rosters, transactions, and all of that stuff. So there's definitely not any avenue of cutting corners with that. It's just like the more time you give to studying on it, you don't have to do as much research. You can just continue to build off where you left off.
But yeah, I had to learn a lot and I felt like it was just so overwhelming. I would watch documentaries, I'd look up everything about every single team, how they started, blah blah blah, and then look up everything about the Coyotes and everything about the Red Wings because I'm from Detroit. And
Ah,
so that's where I am right now. But yeah, so I did a lot of research on that. And then as time went by, it was kind of just, I'm learning as it goes now. I'm not, learning about past things anymore.
yes, and that's what it is. Like that's the part that's more overwhelming is like, for
Hmm.
instance, like me moving to Boston last year, and then it's like, okay, you're gonna cover the Red Sox. And I was like, okay, we keep
Yeah,
talking 2008 World Series team. Now I have to go research this team and find comparisons from, that pitching rotation to this pitching rotation. So the catch up can feel very overwhelming. I will say a point of advice that I do also have is like this is a good opportunity to kind of find what your brand is going to be with your reporting style. Because, and my parents actually really helped me out with this one, is like initially you try to consume so much information. But then when you realize whatever your rhythm or your delivery or like your niche is as a reporter, like you realize that you've researched more than you're even going to touch or use. So, like, for me, I've always kind of been a numbers nerd and I like being able to like use that as a point of comparison. Also, I kind of gravitated towards it because as a woman in sports period, they knock you down a peg immediately and like anything that you say or any opinion you have can't be right until it's validated by someone as big
exactly.
as the guy.
Mhm.
So what I came to learn is that you can't knock numbers and you can't be mad at me for showing you the data. So I gravitated towards the data and analytical side of things. And then I realized whenever I have a coverage to do immediately I'm looking at the numbers and then I find out how can I tell a story with these numbers so that I'm not just sitting there reading off a bunch of numbers to people, but it's like, hey, he's really good when he's put in this position and these are the numbers, but I can really highlight the player. So I think what can also help condense the research is just kind of being like, what do you want your vibe to be? Like, how do you want to come off as a reporter? What do you want your thing to be? Because then it can help you kind of like narrow down where your focus is and how to juggle so many different sports because you know exactly what you're looking for in each category.
Yeah.
That's good advice.
That really is.
I
Hopefully.
know, like,
I was gonna
wow,
ask you what's your biggest advice, but I feel like
that
that's
was really
really
good.
good.
That part has helped a lot, and,
Yeah.
like, not to be scared of it because 'cause you're gonna compare yourself to people in this industry, it happens, you know what I mean, and job opportunities are gonna come about, and you're gonna feel so prepared for it because you know your stuff, but, somebody has a different presentation, and that's what a company is gonna want, and you have to learn not to take that personal. You also have to learn not to give up on yourself and be like, "Well, maybe I should try it their way," because, they're getting the job opportunity. It's like, "No, in order to protect your mental, in order to really stand out, really locking in and betting on yourself is a must. I would say that's my biggest advice. Like, bet on yourself. And you can't take it personally if you get passed over because companies are always looking for a now moment. And just because you're not somebody's now doesn't mean that you're not talented or you don't have something to offer because that can be so fleeting. Like, that's the biggest mental wear and tear in this industry.
That's really good advice. Jeez. But I totally get that because I feel like you have to almost kind of like do your own, not like niche, but kind of just do it your own way. Like just because it works for somebody else doesn't mean it's gonna work for you.
1,000%, 1,000%. I remember when I was first coming up, I would ask people, their process all the time, but for some reason I couldn't really grasp it. It couldn't be my process. And so I felt like I was failing at something that wasn't natural to me to begin with, but I wasn't even giving myself a chance because I was trying to do everybody else's method rather than figuring out my own. And that's probably the other thing that's so hard with broadcasting is like figuring out your you what at the same time that you're learning and absorbing everything from the professionals that are experienced in this. But I talked at Boston College when I first got here, which was also another great honor. And my biggest advice to them was like, most people in this industry, they didn't have what content creation is now. Like, content creation can get you a job over a degree these days. So I feel like that's a company's way of telling you, like, we want you, we're investing in you, we're buying you. So, like, betting on yourself and like being yourself and trusting that process, like it's so uncomfortable, but it really does pay off even more in the long run because when a company bets on you, endorsers bet on you, sponsors bet on you, like a lot of other things ride those coattails that give you job security, brand security versus just like showing up and trying to re-emulate what somebody else has already done.
Okay, should we play our little game? We have
Yeah.
a fun little game.
It's
Okay.
just gonna be like rapid fire
It's
questions.
not even a
Do
game.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just rapid fire
Yeah. But
questions.
it's like yeah, it was just like a fun
Sometimes we do
little
games though. Last
I
time
love
we
it.
did like a would
yeah.
you rather type of thing,
Look,
but
I
we'll
was supposed to
do
catch up with you guys for like a month now, so you've got all the time in the world.
Okay. So, first one, best hockey atmosphere, college or pro?
Oh, guys, that's a mean question after doing bean pop.
That's why I actually added that in there because I'm like, the bean pot was just insane. Like,
Yeah. Okay, I mean, look, I'm gonna out myself a little bit here. So I've always tracked college hockey, but I was actually a Minnesota Gophers fan, like diehard. I know. For a long time. And my ex-boyfriend was from Minnesota. And so every time we went back to his hometown, we would go watch the Gophers and they had these like crazy exhibits and like a certain atmosphere, college hockey is untouchable. But I have physically been brought to tears by playoff hockey in the NHL, and so, like, I feel like I have to stick with NHL for now.
I went to my first NHL playoff game in Montreal. My God, I was almost brought to tears too. Like it was unbelievable
Yeah.
how like in it these fans are, how loud they were. The intro, I was like goosebumps all around. It
Yes,
was just
oh
the
yeah,
the
intro
those get
intros
ruins your
are
me.
life.
unreal.
Yeah,
And
those always
everyone, it's
get
like
Everything
me.
ruins your
dark,
life.
everyone has their flashlight. It was just
Yeah.
unbelievable, unmatched. So
And then it's
I'm
the storytelling.
totally.
Yeah.
And so I'm crossing my fingers that Detroit makes it to the playoffs this year. It's looking good right now, but I mean, you never know. So I really want to go to a playoff game in Detroit because it's been a while since they even made the playoffs.
It
So
has. I have a soft spot for them, with Yzerman being you guys' guy over there because he built out the foundation of,
for
like
Tampa,
exactly,
yep.
exactly. As a wee little thing, I was a big fan of his, so I'll always, like, low-key root for him if it's him versus the Bruins.
Yeah. That's one of the reasons why I really like Tampa. And I do think they might win the cup this year. It's looking good. That's my prediction.
I know,
You
I
see
know.
that?
I'm getting a lot of texts from back home that's
I
just
bet.
like, "Hey, you left in the nick of time." And I'm like, first of all, that's rude. Second of
Oh,
all, I will always be kind to you guys from a distance unless it's against the Bruins. I have fully bought in on the Bruins. But I mean, the changes that have taken place and then like the whole organization, everyone that I've met, they've been amazing. But yeah, nothing touches NHL playoffs between the storylines, the opening. And I remember, I think it was my last season with the Lightning. We had Mikhail Sergachev come back from this massive injury that he got in New York. And we just, even media and the coaches, like everybody was on the edge of their seats. Like, is he going to come back for this playoff game? And we all also had an inkling that it was like his last season with the Lightning. So there was just so much. And he came in and played his ass. And I just remember sitting there feeling like a mom whose child just like resurrected from like the most insane injury. I don't even know. I was just way too emotional. I was like, oh my God, this isn't normal, but this is playoff hockey.
Yeah,
So
and
it
I
was,
feel like when you're working for a team for that long as well, and you get to know the players kind of like, in a friendly way, obviously,
yeah,
it makes you proud of them and actually,
because
like
you see their work and you see the
exactly,
blood, sweat, and tears. Like, if
exactly.
anyone's seeing interviews with Sergey, like he wears his heart on his sleeve, and
Mhm.
that's also a rarity in hockey.
Yeah,
So, like, all media members had the opportunity to really see a different side of things, especially hockey wise. So, like, you're rooting for him even more because of the human side that you've seen and the grind
totally.
that he's been through that year. So, it was just like, and then like the end of any hockey season when you learn the injuries that these guys play through or like
It's
I don't
insane.
know. Yeah, it's just like it's crazy.
Because no one talks about it on the media, about those little injuries. So when you're actually behind the scenes and find this out and stuff, it's crazy what they play through.
Show as a whole.
Yeah, anyone, if you have a funny story about one of them from
Trying to
working
think.
with them.
No, we have a lot of good ones. I just told one the other day, because after Bean Pot, people were kinda asking about my interview style
Yeah,
and, kinda what I told you guys earlier, like, how do you make it more personable between the pair of you before you get diving into an interview? So, I remember the Lightning were going through a slump. They were really bad on the road, and they were being asked by every reporter possible, national and local, like, "What's happening in your second period?" So, I remember overhearing the guys getting worked up about that, like, "1 more reporter." So, I remember going into the locker room after practice the next day, and they're sitting at their stalls, and I was just like, "All right, gentlemen, like, I really gotta ask." They start, like, rolling their eyes, like, their job, right? So they're prepared for me to ask the question that they already announced to the world that they're sick of, and I was like, "I gotta ask, can any of you guys describe your favorite play of the year without using any hockey jargon?" And they were like, "What?" And
oh my god.
I love
so
that.
then, like, all of a sudden, they, like, all pop up from their stalls, and we're, like, huddled up in this circle, and I'll never forget, it was, like, Steven Stamkos, Anthony Cirelli, Brendan Hagel, Corey Perry, and they were like, "What'd you say?" And me and my coworker at the time, Deandra, we were like, "Can you describe your favorite play of the season without using any hockey jargon?" And it was just such a mind-boggling concept, and they're all sitting there trying to, like, piece it together, and one's like, "You hit the black brown thingy," and then he's like, "Can I say puck?" I was like, "You're allowed to say puck." So it was just like it was hilarious because we were all so delusional trying to make that happen just to, like, get them out of their head, out of the same media questions. So it's one of the best videos that I have because I did video record the whole thing.
Perfect.
It's
That's
just, like,
awesome.
sitting there listening to them try to be like, put this play together in their head. I'm like, "You can't say pucks deep. You can't say any of the things. Pucks behind them. You can't tell me any of the typical hockey jargon." So, like, that's one of my favorite stories because that's when I feel like, you take that next step relationship wise with the group of people
Yeah.
that you get to cover. And
And
then
you're
you
making them
establish
laugh and,
Yeah.
yeah,
yeah. And you establish some trust too, because they realize
totally.
that like you're gonna read the room. You're not gonna come in there and try to have a gotcha moment for a 2-second article. Like, and after that is when, you learn more about them. They open up to you when you ask about certain plays and scenarios, they're more open-minded about it. But yeah, that was a funny one that I really appreciate till this day. Like them just sitting there like laughing so hard trying to break down plays without zero hockey jargon.
I love that. That's
That's
so
so
funny.
fun.
Yeah, I'll have to send you guys a clip of the video. It was
Yes,
great.
you
Yeah,
have to.
definitely. Please
Yeah.
do.
What is the loudest rink that you've ever been to?
Ooh, I'm not gonna lie, Vegas, maybe it's the way that, like, it's built. Vegas was really loud for me. Panthers have a their music is extremely loud, which is insane. Yeah, it's like you
God.
hear music and yeah,
Yeah,
prepare yourself for that.
that's funny.
And they're still kinda stuck in the EDM phase, which is totally fine. But I'm trying to think. I've been to Islanders, I've been to Rangers, I've been to Vegas, Golden Knights, Panthers, Lightning, Bruins. I wanna say weirdly enough, Vegas is really loud.
Okay. I wasn't
Yeah.
expecting that.
I
Yeah.
wasn't expecting it either, but, like, it's Vegas. Like, I
Yeah.
don't know,
And
so
I feel like some teams, like Bruins don't really do this, but like Vegas, Seattle, I've seen it too. They have like really cool like intros. They do like a whole thing.
Vegas
It's like a
is
whole
so
thing.
cool.
Yeah.
Yes. And they really lean into, like, the whole, you know, to what their cities are known for and stuff. I've heard amazing things about Seattle. I've wanted to make it out there for a game. My brother's been to a couple because he lives there. He's a Kraken fan now, which I think is illegal on his behalf, but, um,
Yeah.
he's like he has said, like, how amazing everything they do production, game day wise over that way. Like, really enjoy TD Garden. They've got one of the best
Mhm.
playlists that they play throughout the games because they take me back through my alternative years
Oh,
really
yeah.
quickly. But, like, yeah, I don't know if it's just because of, like, how it's built up, but it's just, like, it's really loud the way that the sound travels in there for me, and I feel like they just have a lot more production. Like, I've realized a number of these arenas, they don't have as much production as, like, a Vegas from what I've heard and seen with Seattle. Because Seattle even puts, like, the hockey rules on the
Mhm.
big screen and stuff, like, a lot of things to make sure that, like, all sorts of fan bases are very much intertwined there. So and Vegas kinda does a lot of the same things too.
Yeah, I do like, I don't know what it's called. Is it like an organ that like
Yeah,
I love how TD Garden still does that because I
yeah.
personally like hockey.
Detroit
I
does it too.
Oh, yeah, there's like a couple teams that still do. Yeah, a couple teams still do, but it's like I love how like the Bruins like are still making that a
Yeah.
thing.
And I love when they
Is
play,
it
like,
an
new
original
songs
6
on it.
thing, you think?
Say it
I
again?
wonder if it
Yeah,
is.
I mean, I feel like just
I
like
don't
old
know.
fashioned, yeah, probably original six because it was like it's like an old time hockey thing, and I
Yeah,
love how like some teams are keeping it.
yeah.
Think of that. But I'm a big fan of that as well.
Does any of the music get repetitive or any of the graphics and stuff get repetitive to you when you're
A little bit, a little
Yeah,
bit. I
yeah.
remember warm-up songs get stuck in my head forever. Yeah, yeah. I heard it's called Riot. I'm
I
trying to
probably know the
remember who
song, right?
sings it, but
Yeah.
it's a song called Riot, and it was part of the Lightning's warm-up song, and it was just like and now I can't look at any of these players and not hear, like, the opening chorus or something of said song. So,
Mhm.
yeah, warm-up songs do get repetitive. The graphics I'm okay with because for some reason, they still just get me so amped up. Like, when a
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, for
like, good
sure.
graphic packages, I feel like are just like, "Oh, heck yeah, let's go." Like, it works. So, yeah, graphics don't get me, songs do after a
Mhm.
while. It's like there has to be a different hype
You
song,
can't
and then it's
listen to
Yeah.
it the same anymore.
For
no,
sure. There
no.
was, like, a few years where David Pastrnak had the warm-up song, like, "Barbie Girl," and, like, whenever he would go to games, like, in the 2022, 2023 season, I think
No.
it was, every single time, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh." It
See,
was
and,
so
like,
funny.
you can absolutely love the player, and
Yeah,
it can ruin the song for you.
exactly.
Yeah.
Uh,
Like, Turn Off the
Oh my
Lights,
god.
like, the Fred Again song, loved it, loved working out to it. By, like, game 15 of the season, I was like, "I don't wanna hear this stinking song again."
No.
Like, I'm over it. I need to get past it.
Oh my god.
Next one, most stressful moment you've had covering a game so far?
Honestly, I probably have to go back to Beanpot. That was that so funny enough, actually a funny story about Beanpot. This last one was just the championship game. So luckily we just had the one game. I met with both coaches beforehand because you get extra notes and stuff, and I had a pregame hit. So I was bouncing off of what the guys in the booth were saying, giving a quick little coach said this, and then move on. And so I have to climb into this like little cage area. That's where the reporter stands, and they share that space with the TD Garden main camera. So I had just gotten to my spot. I'm comfortable. My audio lady had just like got me all hooked up and stuff. And my director pops in my ear and he's like, Casey, give me a mic check. So I lift up the mic and I'm like, mic check, mic check. And he's like, Casey, are you there? And I was like, yes, I'm here.
No.
And so he says it again. And I'm like, yeah, you got me. You got me. And he's not saying anything. So I quickly text and I'm like, hey, it doesn't sound like you're getting me on the mic. I'm talking to the mic. So they're like, the mic's on. I was like, yes, the mic's on. So they're like, okay, we're going to send somebody to you. 2 minutes pass and I'm on live in 5 minutes. So after 2 minutes pass and my audio person hadn't gotten to me, I'm now like, I have no more time to waste. So I climb out of the cage, I walk down the ramp, and luckily the people working at TD Garden are amazing and they open the curtain anytime they see me walking by. So as soon as I came down the ramp, they open the curtain and I take off in a full blown sprint in the back hallway. And it's Beanpot. So, a lot of the guys that used to play for these teams are visiting. If anybody saw the hype video, I think you
Mhm.
had like Will Smith, Ryan Leonard, come back for BC, and like I
Yeah.
can't see anything because I'm just thinking of like my timing. So I almost took out all of them because I break into the hallway into a full sprint and almost knock down Smith, Leonard. I think Shane LaChance from BU. Like there was like a group
Yeah.
of them, and I had to like split them like the Red Sea. So I take off, I get to the back room, my audio lady's not back there. Now I'm sprinting back down the hallway. I've got 2 minutes till I'm live. And then I finally find her. She switches something on the microphone, fixes that issue. I have to climb back down in the cage, almost rip my tights when I do it. And at that moment, you're trying to remember what each coach said their priority is versus the other team, because now you've just been focused on this mic situation. So when I tell you your brain is in 5 different places at once, that's very much it. And like tournament style things is just like you're going to juggle a lot more than you would in a normal, Bruins playing the Lightning kind of thing. So like that was probably one of my most stressful moments because you're trying to track your notes, you're trying to track the game that's opening up, you're trying to make sure you drop your lines and everything's going accordingly. And as soon as we wrapped up that pregame hit, I had to get ready to go back into the hallway to talk to, I think it was Dean I had first, talk to Dean Letourneau about his first period. So hockey is fast to track, but as a reporter, like it takes one extra layer of multitasking because everything is moving just as fast on the reporting side as it is for the game.
Yeah. Oh my
That's
god,
funny. I
Jess.
know.
I would have
Jeez,
started
that's
freaking out.
stressful. I know, same. I would be losing my mind.
Yeah, and, like, some people still carry notebooks and stuff. I'll write everything down for muscle memory, but I always put everything in my notes in my phone because, God forbid, like, a notebook, paper, I can't read my handwriting at the time, or, like, I can't track where I'm at in my thought process when I'm talking because 'cause you'll be on camera for a minute, and then you'll cut off camera, and you have to be able to track exactly where you're at.
Yeah.
I do everything on my phone because I can space it out a certain way that helps me, but in that moment, I probably had, like, 40 seconds, I think was my countdown before going live for pregame, and I was just like, "Holy crap, what did Pandolfo say about his team? What did Greg Brown say about his team? And what do I think is the bigger point here?" And I didn't get a chance to listen to the guys in the booth to be like, "Oh, okay, Billy Jaffe just talked about, like, their forechecking, so and so said this." So, like, you also have to connect things up top, and when you're doing something like sprinting the hallway beforehand, you're probably not gonna be too keen on your memory, but luckily it all worked out. So that was just, like, insane.
Yeah. Oh my god,
That's
I can't believe
crazy.
you somehow pulled that. Like, that's crazy.
I couldn't I had to apologize to the guys later. I was like, "Whoever I ran into, I'm sorry, but you're adorable."
So since I guess I already said who I think is gonna win the Stanley Cup, who do you think is gonna win it?
That one's always
It's
such
tough.
insane question. It is tough. I will say, I guess I'll go back to what I originally said a couple months ago. I felt like this was the year, for a West Coast team to finally, like, get through. I know, because the East is stacked, the Atlantic is insanely stacked, like, the margin for who's gonna make it out on top is ridiculous, but I just had more hope in the Dallas Stars a couple months ago, you
Me
know what
too.
I mean?
I
Me
have them in
too.
my predictions to win the cup, like my predictions that I made before the season. But
Yeah.
now I think it's gonna come down to Tampa and Dallas.
Yeah, and, like,
Those
I've
are good
seen I've
picks.
seen that game. I've seen how that plays out, and, like, right now, of course, Vasilevskiy's the best goaltender in the league.
He's
Um,
amazing.
and to think about how well Tampa has done in the absence of a Braden Point, and then, like, the maneuvering that they've done with Nikita Kucherov, and, like, how much of Brandon Hagel and Anthony Cirelli have stepped up, like, health gets back on that team's side, like, that's a lethal team over there.
Yeah.
So, like, I could
Definitely.
definitely see Tampa winning it, but for some reason, like, I felt like this year was finally, like, not the if only Dallas could and should and would. I felt like they finally had enough of their healthy players pieced together, and they weren't just relying on the power play or the third period to make sure that they can, like, beat out opponents. But then some of the stuff that I was seeing heading into the break, I'm just like, Tampa's the best complete team, probably
Yeah,
all
definitely.
facets. So
I feel like the Central Division is so stacked right now, though, like, with Minnesota, where
I'd
they're
love to see
going.
Minnesota win, I'm not
Me
gonna
too. Honestly, I wouldn't be mad about that.
Yeah, that's a good point though. And it just really depends. For them, like I've seen Minnesota kind of fall apart in the postseason. And like Gustafson not really having a great Olympics right now. And so like it just depends on like how that mentally impacts them when they get back. But like youth wise, like Quinn Hughes is fantastic to watch. I mean,
Yeah.
there's only you can't
He's
say
so
enough.
fun to watch.
He is so freaking fun to watch. And then you've got Faber, who's also just like really coming into his own. And Matt Boley's probably one of my favorite players. It's
Yeah.
not about enough.
Yeah, he's underrated.
He's so underrated. He's so underrated. He was my, like, star, like, to look out for the Olympics for Team USA. So, like, I could see them sneaking in there. I just don't know if, like, their method of, like, having to keep things low scoring in order to win would get them across the finish line against, like, you know, a team that has so much, like, offensive power as well as good
Yeah.
goaltending. But it would be fun.
It
It
would
it
be.
next.
Okay, next one, shootout. Keep it or scrap it and just play overtime until somebody wins.
I'm gonna go with overtime until somebody wins. And I
I
know
agree.
agree.
I don't like shootouts at
I
all.
am not a fan, and honestly, guys, it really bothered me in the BU Northeastern game for Beanpot that BU wins it in a shootout, and no offense to my guys over there, the Coles, but I mean, Northeastern was kind of the stronger team for majority of that, and then it comes down to shootouts, and then, like, even the shootout goal by Cole Hudson, like, squeaked by. It
Yeah.
wasn't like this sexy goal that, like, got past the goaltender or whatever, so, like, sometimes shootouts can just, like it can almost feel like a given,
Mhm.
and I don't love that, whereas, like, overtime, like, you gotta be the better team, you gotta be the better team overall, so I rather sit there and watch overtime after overtime after overtime.
Yeah, because
Same.
shootouts, someone can choke and, like,
Yes.
anything can happen with shootouts, where overtime, like you said, you actually have to play your heart out and play
Exactly.
play the
And it's the
sport,
team,
and it's
you
Mhm.
know?
as a team.
Because,
Yeah.
like, what if you go against a team that's got, like, 3 undeniable shooters? Undeniable.
Exactly.
True, exactly. I mean, I remember one year, I forget exactly what year it was, like, but Brad Marchand went out there and he literally missed the puck and he had to, like he couldn't even get a
Oh, like,
chance.
with
He literally
Yeah.
skated he
Yes.
skated past the puck.
my
And it
god.
just like so you have
I
that, like,
remember that.
that was so
See,
annoying.
in that moment right there, I wouldn't be able to recollect myself.
Same.
Be mentally tapped out beyond belief. But, like, even, like, think of the Stadium Series. The moment that I went to shootouts, like, I will go to bat for this Bruins team in a lot of ways, but I was just like, "You have a Nikita Kucherov, like, you've
Thank you.
got shooters on that team, top 10 shooters, and by the handful. They had 5 20-plus goal scorers last year, like, that immediately felt like, goodness.
Yeah, I
You know what
agree.
I mean? And then you got Vasi versus Sway, which no disrespect to anybody, but again, per resume, who handles those situations better? So then immediately I just feel like you get so deflated when it comes to shootouts. Like I love seeing the skill, but I rather leave that for skills competitions. Give me overtimes.
Yes, I agree with that one.
Yeah. What NHL jersey do you think is the best? I'm biased, I like Detroit.
So Detroit's Centennial setup, gorgeous.
Oh my
Amazing.
gosh, I love it. Looks so good.
The brown glove, the brown
It's
everything is
amazing.
beautiful, beautiful. It's funny because I'm obsessed with 47. Love a good baseball cap.
Mhm.
And I've always gravitated towards the Red Wings stuff on 47 because they really just get the look right. Their Centennial ones get the nod from me. As for like best overall jersey, I'm trying to quickly scale through because my best friend has 3 sons and they just love any black jersey there is. And so like those are just sitting so prominent in my head right now. This is tough because I'm not trying to like make it Tampa focused.
That's okay. I mean, if you think it's Tampa, it's okay. I like the Ducks. I think the Ducks jerseys are kinda cool.
They're really nice.
Maybe I'm biased because I like the Ducks too, but
I'm trying to think what else I like being unbiased,
I like
I
the
personally
Kings. It gives a vintage feel.
the Kings you said or the Canes?
Kings.
Kings,
okay.
yeah,
Yeah,
I do like them too.
Yeah. And like they those were one of the first like NHL jerseys at random that I
Yeah,
had. So they're very simple.
yeah.
Yeah, and you can get the vintage feels with that one. But I mean it's not the best one overall.
What about best logo?
that's a good question.
This is a hard one, I don't even know what I would think. I mean, I think Detroit's is pretty awesome as well.
I know it's hard not to be biased. It's like I just want to choose Bruins and Ducks, but it's like I'm trying not to be biased.
See, Bruins do have a great logo.
They do. I
I
love
will
the
say
updated
that.
one.
Yeah.
Which one? That's of the actual bear, right?
No, so it's the
The
B,
bee
and they
in the
changed it.
circle.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they changed it this year to like the old fashioned, like kind of to tribute to like
What are
back in
I
the
like
day.
the Wilds because they incorporate like cool things in their logo,
They
like
do.
little like
Yeah.
hints and stuff.
They really do.
Other places do that too. But I'm trying to think who else, but
Oh, Penguins. I kind of like their logo. I mean, it's not my favorite, but
But
Mhm.
I automatically go against the Penguins because my best friend's husband is a big Pens fan. Yeah, I know.
Isn't it just a penguin playing hockey?
yeah.
Really a Penguin playing hockey. Yeah. I
Those are
would
the
now
Kraken has a
I
cool
almost feel
one.
biased because for some reason I'm leaning towards Vegas again, but like,
I was thinking Vegas as well. I also like their jerseys. Those are my
yeah,
favorite other than Detroit with the gold.
yeah.
Like, I love
And like,
that.
like you have so many fun things to play off of with Vegas and like Golden
Totally.
Knights and the armor and stuff like that. So like, I guess if I had to divvy it up, I keep going to the West Coast. This is crazy. I'm gonna go with Vegas.
Yeah, I like that answer. I
All right,
like
cool.
it.
At least that one's approved.
Okay. Well,
A lot of weird things with the Lightning, like, they did retro jerseys that were so ugly, you eventually liked them, and then, like, they're although, like, hands down, they had a Gasparilla jersey that had a skull with a lightning bolt on it, and, like, that was my favorite.
Ooh.
that's
But I
cool.
like skulls, yeah, and it was all black and, like, then, like, the skull was white, which was super sick.
Actually, really
Ooh,
quick, going back to the Coyotes, their Kachina logo was pretty cool. Like their old school. They brought
I
back their old
do
school
remember
logo
that.
and instead of the actual coyote, it was like a kind of like cool Kachina like
I
Arizona vibe thing, and I
yeah,
liked that. They brought it back. I
Desert
only worked
Stormy.
there yeah, I only worked there the 2 years that their 2 last years, and then they moved to Utah. So I was there both the times that they had the Kachina logo.
Oh my
So
gosh. Utah stuff looks really good, though.
I do like
I
Utah's
did like it.
jerseys
Yeah.
too. I
Yeah,
love the
actually,
colors.
yeah,
Oh
True.
yeah, that's
Utah
a
There's
good
so
one.
many.
Yeah. Yeah.
oh,
And the
so many.
Panthers, I liked their old logo. I like the panther with the claws better
Yeah,
than like the new one.
yeah.
Yeah.
I like their vintage ones too better. And then but they have, like, more blue on there, which was always weird to me, the blue and
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
red, but yeah.
Okay. Well, that wraps it up. Do you want to plug your socials where people can find you?
Sure, it's at the sports case, it's Kase, and I think I have that across all of the social platforms to try to keep things cohesive. And then as you guys mentioned, just running around on NESN. We've got Boston's End of the Chat at 4 p.m. and then the Hockey Hub with Sophia Yurtsevich. I got better with her last name. Cuts me slack on that one. With Soph. Soph and I holding it down on the Hockey Hub. But yeah,
Well, thank you so much for coming on.
thank you guys so much. Hopefully I answered questions
Yep.
well.
You
Yeah,
did
you did.
great.
Be long-winded.